Welcome, everyone, to the Real
Hi.
Trekkies cast, episode 11. I am your host, Matrix Lord 212, and I'm with Steampunk Starraisin.
Here in Hollywood at amberstreet.com.
What's going on, bro?
Hello.
All right, so I wanted to discuss with you Star Trek Beyond. Now, I know you didn't see it, and I saw it, but it's interesting to me your take on what you conceive it to be, and what when you do see it, we're gonna see a big, you may remain the same or not, but I'm just curious what your thoughts are on it without seeing the movie.
I think it's going to suck for me. I'm not a big fan of it. It's gotten mixed reviews. I disabled my video feed, sorry, to try to save bandwidth.
Yeah, that's fine. You're coming in clearer right now. It's good.
Okay. I saw two 30-second clips. I've seen some scenes from the movie because they were released on YouTube. And I've seen the two trailers, and I've read the premise. And I've seen several movie reviews, including Beyond the Trailer. Like Beyond the Trailer, she said she thought it was the weakest of the three films. She thought that there was that the villain was really poorly written because she said that there's like a secret device that's hidden on the ship for years, and that's the reason why he blows up the ship and they become marooned.
Well, that's not really necessarily true, but I like the movie a lot because it basically to me, it's like when you go exploring in space, for them to know everything that goes on and know how every civilization is, for them not to be any surprises, that's the whole purpose of Star Trek, to encounter the unknown and to deal with different situations that they're not prepared for. So,
yeah, and Beyond the Trailer, she said that the villain, by the end of the movie, you realize he didn't need said device. So why did he destroy the ship in the first place?
Well, that again, that's not to give. I mean, that's not accurate either. I mean, the whole point was that there was a peace treaty that was established between Kirk and this other race on behalf of another race. They didn't want to accept the peace treaty. He took the artifact and put it on the ship. Now, not too much time afterwards, you find out that device that was for a peace treaty is basically used to create a weapon. So what the alien race was, they're saying, look, here's our most powerful device, our most powerful weapon. If we're going to share this with you, we want peace with you. So that's why, but that race was just too anger rage. So Kirk took the device back to his ship, and it just turned out that another race saw that they had that ultimate weapon that Starfleet didn't even know what it is really. So he basically orchestrated this lady to have a ship where she was, they saved her, like somebody saved her, Starfleet, and then she said, if you go through the nebula, my crew is there. So Starfleet asked Kirk to go on a rescue mission. He had the most advanced ship. He was basically going to give up being the captain and become an admiral because he's getting lost in space. Like, he doesn't know what his purpose is. His father, he never got to see his father. He's kind of getting all screwed up with the regular routine. And while he's planning on leaving the Enterprise behind, Spock got word that, Ambassador Spock died from our timeline. So he got depressed, thinking that he should carry on in the peacekeeping legacy of the elder Spock and give up Starfleet. Yes. So before they could really make this decision, they go on this mission together, and he felt too, because he was going to give up being on the ship. He was going to break up with Uhura because maybe something about having kids or whatever, and he broke up with her, and it was like a whole thing. So now they had to go on a mission together, and it was kind of, they had to deal with each other, but nobody knows what each other's going on except for like the Spock and Uhura drama. Now, this immediately, it was a trap, and the Enterprise got basically destroyed by these aliens that are like acting like like bees, like alien bees, where they destroyed the ship instantly, like really fast.
Yeah.
And they were all controlled by this guy. Now, I really found this to be interesting. I really enjoyed it because, again, too many times when you see Star Trek movies, it gets into the habit of the same old stuff. You know, when we see an episode of Best of Both Worlds with the Borg fighting Picard for the first time, or dealing with other races, it's interesting. It's exciting. And because they had never encountered this race before, and it was a part of space that they never really explored before, they had their butts handed to them, basically. And now the ultimate test was Kirk without the ship. How was he going to be without the ship?
Well, I mean, that's the one neat thing about the new Spock. He's emo Spock. He's got superpowers. I mean, the way he yelled, "On, man," that would scare anybody.
Well, basically, they did explain it because this universe was an alternate universe.
Yeah. And
because his father's wife died, Sarek told him to embrace his human side. Where in our Prime universe, the mother was still lived for a long time, and she didn't die in that dramatic fashion. So, in this sense, Sarek felt that his teachings was wrong, and he missed his wife that died, Winona Ryder, and he told Spock, "Do whatever you want, because there's no Vulcans really left. So what does it matter anyway? You know, like, what are we going to turn against you? And there's only like 10,000 Vulcans left.
Yeah.
So, just build up your own new world with the Vulcans. Do what you want. Embrace your humanity. You're special, And that's why he's like that, because his father said, I'm not going to fight you on this. Go with it. From 2009.
And also the box office results for Star Trek Beyond. Star Trek Beyond's kind of bombed at the box office. It's probably not going to make its production budget back.
Well, that's actually not accurate either.
It dropped 59% to number 2.
No, but it doesn't matter because
107 million so far, and it's probably, I think they spent 155 million making it. It might make the production budget back, but it won't be considered a stellar success.
Well, actually, all that information that you have is actually wrong, and I'll show you. I'm usually not when it comes to the box office.
That was just domestic. International,
no, I know.
Might have done better.
Yeah, so I'm going to show you, and that's what a lot of people forget sometimes. They forget
the box office mojo, 109 million.
No, 165. Right.
It cost 180. Oh, more than I expected. 185 million to make.
Right.
And worldwide, it is okay. I didn't include the worldwide, but domestically, it hasn't done that well. Because domestically, it's only done 109 million, and it's already dropped to number 2. And worldwide, it's made 165 million.
Worldwide, what you're missing is that Star Trek Beyond is making millions a day. Okay. It made 3,117,000 just domestically on Monday. It's going to make today probably 4.5 million. Tomorrow, 3 million. Tomorrow, the next day, 3 million. The weekend, another 15 million. So it's going to be gaining back its budget. If you look at this, okay.
Well, what I'm trying to say is, I agree with you because it's only $20 million away from breaking even. It'll gain back its budget, but it won't be considered a stellar success.
No, it will, because it has not been released. Unlike all other Star Trek releases, this movie was not released overseas hardly anywhere, and it won't be until September, October.
Where's it going to be released in September?
Everywhere that Into Darkness was released, it's going to be released. And the problem is that it was a late start. The way they scheduled everything, I'm going to show you, basically. Because when all the numbers were said and done for Into Darkness, it made $238 million overseas, okay? That, because the numbers are low now, means that it's not released there. So, and if you look at the regular one, it made $127 million. The 2009 is the one that started it all. Okay, so when the numbers are in by Halloween or November completely, this movie will have in over $335 million.
Do you think it'll make more money than Into Darkness?
Not sure. I mean, Into Darkness, it has a total of 4. Yeah, it might. It could technically, because here's the thing. It's only number 2. I'm sorry. Only number 2. We have a couple of weeks of life for From Beyond. Star Trek Beyond, whatever. So I honestly think it could make $500 million. It all depends on. We're probably gonna have about at least 250 to 300 million overseas, because that's going to add to this budget. So if we have an additional 300 million, let's say. That's
you seem a little bit hesitant. You think it will be Star Trek Into Darkness or not?
I think it's possible. I'm not gonna give 100%. It's already got a sequel. I'm pretty sure it's gonna reach 400 million.
Well, and also let me blow your mind with this. Because I had talked about this with Daniel. If you take Star Trek the motion picture and you adjust it for inflation in modern dollars based on the absolute number of ticket sales, Star Trek the motion picture is still the most successful Star Trek film of all time. Sold more tickets than any other Star Trek film.
Right. All right. So let's do this. Let's crunch the numbers.
Okay.
All right. And we're gonna go. I'm gonna look here. All right. And here we go. All right. So today, I'm going to predict it made 4.5 million, okay?
Okay.
Tomorrow, Wednesday's figures, I'm going to say 2.5 million. Thursday's figures, I'm going to say 2.3 million. Okay. Friday, I'm going to say about 3 million.
Okay.
So wait. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Friday, 3 million. Saturday, 4.5 million.
Okay.
And then Sunday, 4 million. All right.
Okay. No, I got you. You still there?
Yep.
Okay. And
so about 21. Let's just say 21 million. We're going to add on to the 165, right?
Okay.
So that's going to be 186 million. And then when you add in, I'm going to say a good additional 250 million, right? We'll have about 436 million. And then next week, I'm going to give it a 15 more million on domestically, which is 451 million. And then I'm going to give it another 25 million for overseas.
Okay, well,
So I'm gonna say the highest it will go is 476.
Well, fair enough. You win the debate. You have proved your case. It will make its money back and make a little bit of money profit.
Right.
That's fair enough.
Now I want to blow your mind with something now too.
Sure.
You and I were talking about Enterprise before.
Yeah.
And I told you how I did not like that concept.
I liked Star Trek Enterprise. It's just that Star Trek Enterprise got much better in the 4th season.
Right. Well, Star Trek Discovery.
Star Trek Discovery. Yeah, I wanted to talk about that too, since this is a podcast. I've seen the teaser. I've seen both teaser trailers. The first teaser trailer doesn't really show anything. The first teaser trailer just shows like the Earth and the nebula in the background with a bunch of scrolling text. The new teaser trailer shows the actual ship from a space dock in an asteroid, which is kind of interesting. And I'm a little bit concerned with the low quality of the CGI. The deflector dish with the blue dot, and I'm not the only one who criticized the low quality of the CGI. Some people said it looked like a fan-made film. That's right. How low quality the CGI was. Most of the angled shots of the ship with the lighting looked really photorealistic. But when you get into this weird-looking blue deflector dish, it looked a little bit fakish.
I'm having a problem with it.
On a very, being that it's CBS All Access show, They're going to be on, and they're only doing 13 episodes per season, which is unheard of for Star Trek. It's going to be a very shoestring budget, and it's going to be lower quality than a normal Star Trek.
Well,
So I'm optimistic because they brought Fuller. I can't remember the guy's first name. I remember his last name is Fuller, but they brought in a guy who
Brian Fuller.
writer for Deep Space Nine. What?
Is it Brian?
Brian Fuller. They brought in Brian Fuller, who was a writer for Deep Space Nine and I think he had been a producer on Deep Space Nine. So they brought in the right people. They didn't bring in Abrams people. They brought in original Star Trek people that had been handpicked by Gene Roddenberry and at least handpicked by Berman, who handpicked by Gene Roddenberry. So they brought in some of the original people. So I'm optimistic that it could be a good show and story. I'm just worried that they're going to take shortcuts in production because they're doing it as a CBS All Access show as a competitor to Netflix. But I'm optimistic. I'm more optimistic about Star Trek Discovery than I am about Abrams' crap that he calls Star Trek.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm the reverse. I'm optimistic, but because they announced that it is set before Kirk's time and after Enterprise's time, I'm not having it because
I heard conflicting rumors. I heard that originally they were saying that it was going to be set after Star Trek 6, but then I hear now that it may be set post Nemesis. But you heard it
today.
Set before
What I heard today, it is set after Captain Archer's Enterprise, and before Kirk's time. Which again, I have a massive problem with this because it limits the stories they could actually tell. And if they go in a direction, which I think they are, like Enterprise, fans are going to rebel because it's going to undo the history of Kirk, and they're going to have to put this captain into situations where it's like making him better or her better than Kirk. And I don't really. To me, it has to be set in after Voyager, where it's we have to see what's going on. I'm very against this.
This is what fans want, despite what Paramount and CBS want to try to spoon feed us, because you just, like I said, you look at the numbers. If you look at the actual ticket sales for Star Trek the Motion Picture and you adjust in modern dollars for inflation, it grossed higher even than Wrath of Khan. It is the highest grossing film of all time. And I loved Star Trek the Motion Picture because it was heavily influenced by 2001 A Space Odyssey, and it has that epic cerebral a cerebral adventure of exploration that you expect from only Star Trek. And that's what fans want. They bring back a show that's similar to Voyager or Next Generation. That's what fans want.
But they're not, because they're doing
Next
stuff
Generation
before that, though.
Yeah, well,
I don't really want that. I don't think fans want that either, that it's going to be...
Well, here's where it could be cool. If it is true, so does this confirm that it's set before Kirk?
Let me get this thing and find out, because
the ship looks more modern. The ship looks more modern than Kirk's time.
Well, there's something to do with time travel, I think, with that.
Well, okay. Here's the thing. Okay, Enterprise got a lot of and I'm sure this is why you didn't like it. Enterprise got a lot of criticism from Star Trek fans, and a lot of Star Trek fans hated Star Trek Enterprise when it came out because they were like, "Well, Archer was the first one to meet the Borg, was the first one to do this, the first one to do that. That's not canon." But they made it canon because there was a temporal Cold War. You had Future Guy, who we never actually found out. They never resolved that plot thread, who was altering with the timeline. So really anything in Archer's time was plausible because it was technically a parallel universe. Where
this is confirmed, supposedly. It's been confirmed before Kirk's time.
Okay, well, here's where it could be cool, is I was a little pissed off that they never resolved Future Guy. We don't know who Future Guy is. He was the villain in the shadows, pulling strings with the Solomon and manipulating, time. And for what nefarious purpose was never clarified because the show got canceled before that story arc could finish. if they continue that story arc, because fans want to know who Future Guy is. Just look up on Reddit or look up online. Like, there's videos where people theorize who the hell was Future Guy. We deserve an answer as Star Trek fans. We were loyal. We supported these shows. Don't leave us hanging on a thread like that. So if they do a show that takes place before Kirk and they continue the temporal Cold War, that could be cool.
Right.
You need to find out who Future Guy is. Rick Berman in an interview said that he wasn't sure who Future Guy was. He thought that Future Guy could possibly be a Romulan from the 29th century, and that would be a very typical Romulan tactic because the Romulans don't like direct confrontation. The Romulans like to do things cloak and dagger from the shadows. And there was like in Next Generation, there was like a whole Romulan Cold War.
Right.
And so they bring in the Romulans, you know, because the Romulans were one of my favorite villains. They bring in the Romulans, and they reveal to us who the hell Future Guy is, and resume the temporal Cold War. That could be its own thing, separate from the Abrams crap, and that could be a cool show.
Okay.
But I worry with the lowbrow CGI suggests that it's going to be done on a shoestring budget, and I'm worried that there's only 13 episodes. So it could suck because they undercut it. But here's what fans want. Fans want a post-Nemesis show. We want to see some of the characters from Voyager. We want to see some like Jake Sisko. What's he been up to? We want to see 7 of 9. What's she been up to? And Jerry
want
Ryan,
to see if Sisko is alive again. You know.
Yeah. That's what fans want. Just give fans what they want. I mean, you should look at all the, like on Star Trek Beyond, there's a lot of fans attacking Star Trek Beyond, saying, man, this is crap. All the movies are crap, and we need, bring back Next Generation. I'm not the only one who thinks that way.
Right.
And so, and Next Generation, I mean, there was the Chaos on the Bridge documentary that I saw that was hosted by William Shatner. Despite all the criticisms and all the attacks against Gene Roddenberry about how his vision of the future was not realistic, that man is too greedy and too selfish, and that Gene Roddenberry's vision of the future was all kooky, I liked William Shatner's line in the last part of the documentary film where he was like, Next Generation was the most successful Star Trek show of all time. It got higher ratings than even the original series. It had first-run syndication. It had the largest audience of any Star Trek show. It's still being played on Spike TV.
The Next Generation, I do agree, was the most successful.
Yeah, I mean, and that's agree. What they need to do. That's what fans want. Bring back a show like Next Generation. That's what we want. That's what most of us want. And I mean, they really dropped the ball with the movies, man. They could have, if I had been the showrunner for Star Trek, one thing I would have done another Borg movie, because there was this whole talk about, we can't do another Borg movie, even though the Borg are popular, because we don't want to copy ourselves. No, the Borg are such a fascinating villain. You could have done 3 movies with the Borg.
Right.
You did more than 1 movie with Klingons in it. I would have done another Borg movie, and then I would have done a Romulan War movie, which would have tied up some of those plot threads from the Romulan Cold War. Why were the Romulans kidnapping Geordi and making him a spy? What were the Romulans up to, cloak and dagger? They would have resolved that, and they would have done like a Q movie. I mean, Q was absent in all the Next Generation movies, and he was one of the most interesting villains and one of the most interesting characters. He just totally dropped the ball. It would have been. I'm sure if I had been running Star Trek, I could have done something that would have at least grossed half as much as Star Wars. Because you would have had like a really deep, rich story that stimulates your thoughts and your emotions and makes you ponder and think about things. That's what people like. That's the reason why Star Trek The Motion Picture did so well, and it was heavily influenced by 2001: A Space Odyssey. And 2001: A Space Odyssey was a heavily war movie.
Right.
It's considered one of the best movies of all.
You're losing your internet. Hello?
And if they had Star Wars and the Star Trek movies probably would not have been possible. That paved the way for that. But yeah, that's my little rant on that.
All right.
I didn't want to.
No, very informative. very good, bro. I'm gonna have a hard time with it being in set before Kirk's time because I feel that it limits its potential to where it could possibly go. At least if it was after Voyager time, you're free reign to do whatever you want. You could do something where the Federation gets wrecked or Earth gets wrecked. There, you can't really mess with history too much. You can't do too much stuff with
unless you do the temporal Cold War storyline.
Yeah, but I don't want. That's the whole thing. I really wish it would be set after Voyager because this is really gonna, somebody. What if they screw it up? What if they start ruining Kirk's history? I really don't want to have that. But we'll see. I'll have an open mind. We'll see. All right. Thanks a lot, Steampunk Starraisin.
All right.
We'll try to get another Trekkies out soon. So take care. Bye for now.